Welcome to today's session and thanks for joining. In these videos, I show how you can swing trade profitably in any market condition, up, down or sideways, by taking only high probability and low risk trades that have maximum forces from the market, sector, industry, fundamental, technical and even seasonality in their favor. I will revisit some trade ideas or market analysis I shared recently and review how that played out. If you stay with me, I will show some stocks getting ready to buy or short and some that you may trade on Monday. You could also trade them on Friday near the close if you could find them in real time. Using Q systems, you could. What is the most lucrative and reliable buy pattern? A pattern is a collection of specific indicators, each showing something about the stock one after another. If the pattern indicates a high probability of a stock going up, it is a buy pattern. The buy pattern becomes lucrative if it can identify the stock at a lower price level. Do you have such a pattern? Do you use such a pattern? I have, and I use it all the time. It is a pattern consisting of the following: one after another, price extreme low, the stock is at a lower price level. This makes the pattern lucrative. Jump thrust low, the stock is rapidly coming down even further while at a low price level. That makes the down move unsustainable. Big move up 3, someone stepped in and stopped the decline all of a sudden. This pattern has a very high probability of the stock moving up from there, if that made sense. After this pattern, the stock is very likely to go up. The pattern itself is not a buy setup, it is a pattern. Once the pattern appears, wait for a buy setup. The setup can happen on the same day as the big move up 3 day, or it can come later. We are going to take only the buy setups that are low risk. That is, stop is not very far away. You can find stocks with such patterns and setups from QFinder. If you find a stock with that pattern, you may follow it. The first buy setup after the pattern, or first buy setup that comes along with the pattern, is of course a lucrative one. Subsequent buy setups may also be quite profitable. That means once you see the pattern in a stock, you may track it for several weeks for multiple buy points. The pattern itself is a technical pattern. It has been a very reliable pattern for me for strong fundamental stocks as per Q Vital scorecard. There may be different ways of looking at fundamentals. It has proved to be very reliable for stocks which are fundamentally strong in terms of either valuation or growth, and I check those from Q Vital. What about industry? As the stock is recovering from a lower price level, the industry may not be one of the strongest. I am fine with it, with the buying, if the industry is accelerating. Sometimes the industry may be strong as well. You may find out industry score in real time from QH. Later in the session, I'll review some trade ideas I shared recently with that lucrative buy pattern, that is price extreme low, jump thrust low, then comes big move up 3, wait for the buy setup, and see how those ideas I shared always before knowing the results turned out. We may even try to find such a lucrative buy candidate today. Greetings. I am Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional swing trading stocks in the USA and India markets using the Q only one system and techniques that I developed myself. You may contact me using my email ID info@superiorprofit.co or tradingprofitably@gmail.com. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on my website superiorprofit.co, X handle Superior Profit, and YouTube channel Trading Profitably. All these are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. Disclaimer: this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risks of standardized options document from OCC to decide if options trading is suitable for you. Q runs on Metastock and registration platforms. It has multiple components. I'll use many of them in today's session too. Let's start with dollar index. This is not a dollar index chart as of today. This is a slide I shared in my last week's market recap. In that, I showed that it is likely to go up, though it was languishing at a lower price point. That was my expectation. What happened next? This is dollar index today. Let's read the chart. In the weekly, it came to watermark support. In daily, it displayed the unique bullish headwind, possible reversal signal. Then came a bull release signal that happened at jump thrust low. The bullish headwind created a watermark support, at which point bullish indecision cluster came, followed by another bull release. Then came a bullish flow candle and price went up. We saw in the last slide that I shared in previous market recap, dollar index had multiple trendline resistances, two of them, and it has broken out of both of them. The expectation that I had that dollar index would go up came true, and the expectation I had is based on the analysis I just explained. Q analysis proved effective, aka profitable. Once again, dollar index is something that is known to influence the market. They are not always correlated with the market, but they tend to influence. That's why we study that. And it influences all pockets of the market, potentially influence all pockets of the market, including mega caps. Mega caps themselves tremendously influence the market, more on some pockets like QQQ than SPY than others, but it has huge influence on the market. This is the mega cap index. From the relative performance in weekly, we can see that for 4 weeks in a row, mega caps are outperforming the market. However, now it is very close to the watermark resistance that was created by a bearish headwind that could push price down earlier. It is not surprising to see that price came back to the watermark level, and it may come down from here or may create a false upside breakout from here. We'll watch out for that. While in weekly that is happening, in daily it came near the watermark resistance. It also has trendline support. So it is inside a range, the range created by pivot resistance and trendline support, and it is very close to the upper edge of the range. This week, for first 4 days of the week, it came down, and on Friday it recovered all the loss of the first 4 days, and you can see the week actually closed higher. Because it is too close to a resistance, I will not buy now, and even if it comes down on Monday, it will be too close to support. I am not going to short. I'm going to buy only if it crosses above the watermark resistance and then gives me a low risk buy point. I'm going to short only if it breaks below the trend line support. At present, it doesn't tell us to buy, it doesn't tell us to short. That is for the mega cap as a whole. I'd like to review a specific mega cap I analyzed in the last two recaps and see how that played out. That was Microsoft. This is not Microsoft as of the current week. This is a slide I shared in the previous market recap. And I shared my expectation that actually this is what I shared 2 weeks ago in the market recap. 2 weeks ago when it was near the trendline resistance with a bearish headwind. And 2 weeks ago I shared my expectation that it might come down from there. What happened after that? Did it come down? Yes, it did. Let's review the Q signals again. Going back a little bit. When we were at this point, we had the bullish indecision cluster followed by a bullish flow and trend following long flow setup. That was the time I suggested it was a buying point. That is what I explained in the market recap at that time. Then it went up, the trade would be profitable. When it came here, that was 2 weeks ago, it came near trendline resistance and displayed the bearish headwind. I expressed my bearish view. And for the last 2 weeks, Microsoft has come down. The long trade, when I expressed my bullish view, turned out to be profitable. I traded that in fact, and the short trade from the upper edge of the sideways range also turned out to be very profitable. Now it is at support. I'm not going to short now. If it goes up, in fact, it may be a buying opportunity if it goes up. Interestingly, mega caps closed higher this week. Even QQQ closed higher, but Microsoft fell, as one would expect from Q signals, and it stopped also exactly where it would expect it to stop, at the trendline support. This is a perfect example of trading profitably using unambiguous Q signals. Next, Q market breadth. Invaluable in assessing the internal health of the market and anticipating a change in the market direction. What does it show today? Major indexes breadth. Dow Jones Industrials percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average very close to being extremely overbought. The same is true for S&P 500. Regarding the other oscillator, 3-month new high low, Dow Jones Industrials is some distance away from being overbought. Russell 2000 is also some distance away from being overbought. However, if we look back when the 3-month new high low was extremely overbought, we would expect it to come down, and that did come down. This signal works like a clockwork, and when it comes like this extremely overbought, it is very profitable, useful to look for stocks that are starting to come down from the top and short them, probably using short call vertical. That would be very profitable at this point. Nasdaq 100 3-month new high low. Now it is not overbought. Again, looking back when it was extremely overbought, in that market recap I suggested shorting the stocks at the very high level, and indeed the study came down. That means some stocks must have come down. It was the perfect time to short them. S&P 1500 very close to being overbought in terms of 3-month new high low, and again the last time when it was extremely overbought the study came down. That was a perfect time to look for shorting. S&P 500, this is now at overbought range for 3-month new high low, and again last time it was extremely overbought, it did pull back little bit. Mixed picture, more non overbought condition than overbought condition. This allows us to buy, and it allows us to short the overbought pockets, stocks at very high price point. What are those overbought pockets? S&P 500 stocks, also maybe some S&P 1500 stocks. Some stocks at very high point that are coming down may be shorting candidates now, but overall the picture is telling that it is better to be on the long side, better to buy stocks, not short overall. That was major indexes. If we look at the composites, NYSE 3-month new high low became extremely overbought, and then the plot came down as one would expect. So it was the perfect time to short. Now it is very close to being overbought. Nasdaq continues to lag. That means again we are able to short, look for shorts in some of the stocks that are in NYSE. Those stocks would be also at a very high price level. Short those stocks. Whereas overall it is perfectly alright to buy because Nasdaq is continuing to lag. It is not at all near overbought level. And lastly, we look at the broadest view of the market breadth total view. Again, when 3-month new high low came near the almost touched the extreme overbought territory, one would expect the study to come down. It came down. That was the perfect time to look for shorts. Now it is not overbought. And if we look at growth versus value and small cap versus large cap, doesn't seem to have any preference. We may buy any of those categories. So this plot total view, also this chart allows us to buy, doesn't tell us to short. What is the market's external view? This is a view of the 4 market ETFs using weekly interval. This week only IWM is down, that is the worst performer. All the three other market ETFs, SPY, QQQ, DIA, they are up. Not a lot, but they are up. Let's look at them one by one to see what is the message from the external view. Does it allow buying or does it allow shorting or nothing? QQQ. This is not QQQ as of today. This is a slide I shared in the last market recap. And I expressed my expectation that QQQ would come down from there, and I expected it to come down and find support at the trend line. Did that happen? This is QQQ as of today. Let's read the chart. Here it came near watermark resistance, created a false upside breakout, and displayed the unique reversal signal bearish headwind. That was as of last Friday. This is what I shared in the last market recap, and I projected a move downward and finding support at the trend line support. Exactly that happened. For the first 4 days of the week, price came down, stopped right at the trend line support, and it went up from there. In fact, as of Friday's close, it found support at the trend line, displayed a bullish flow. Daily gave a flow trend following long setup that is supported by weekly. This allows us to buy, it does not allow us to short. Notably, using my previous week's analysis, you could short right at the top using the bearish headwind, and when it came near the trend line support, you could buy it either using the ETF, or you could use futures. If you are trading futures, you could use NQ, or you could also use short put verticals. You could day trade and you could also swing trade using the support. And now it has a bullish flow setup as well. This is how you can anticipate a move using Q signals and profit from it, first shorting and then buying again. SPY. SPY has a trend line support. On Friday, it has bullish flow and a flow long setup that is supported by weekly, allows buying, doesn't allow shorting. DIA, bullish traffic light in daily, bullish backdrop in weekly. There is no long setup in DIA itself, but the chart itself allows buying in the market, doesn't allow shorting. IWM, we saw earlier, this is the worst performer. This is the only market ETF that is down this week. It found support at the yellow direction line and it displayed the bullish indecision cluster. However, Friday's candle shape is indecisive and it is right below trendline resistance. Weekly shape is indecisive, color is still bearish. Doesn't allow buying because it is near trendline resistance, doesn't allow shorting because it has yellow direction line support and it has displayed the bullish indecision cluster. It will permit buying if the memory resistance trend line can be broken next week. You may keep an eye for that. Bucket analysis and sector industry stock breadth analysis using QH helps to decide preferred trading direction that may be different from the current market trend. The current market trend we saw from the market ETFs is up, except for IWM. Overall, we can say it is up. And the Q edge analytics helps us to decide if we should buy in the up direction or we short the top. Let's find out. Bucket analysis. If it is overbought, we don't buy even if the market is bullish. But now it is not overbought. 59% of the S&P 1500 stocks are above mid Bollinger Band. That is bullish. What is the percentage above upper Bollinger Band? Only 5.7%. It becomes overbought when this percentage shoots up to 30 or 40%. It is far away from that. It is not overbought. So it allows us to buy. There is no overbought condition that allows us to short. Sector industry stock breadth. Longer term 1 month period is bullish. It deteriorated over 10-day period, became neutral, and this week became bearish. Though the weekly period is bearish over 2 day, Thursday, Friday, and then Friday, the sector industry stock breadth improved. So from bullish picture, it became bearish and then bullish again. This pattern of sector industry stock breadth allows buying, doesn't allow shorting. So far we are seeing more signals for buying, very few on shorting. Let's continue. Technical breadth, invaluable in deciding preferred trading direction from breadth charts and then finding unambiguous technical setups for individual stocks. Weekly technical breadth. All setups bullish, strength setups bullish, trend continuation setups bullish, reversals bullish. Allows buying. Does not allow shorting. Daily technical breadth. All setups bullish, strength bullish, very bullish, continuation bullish, reversal also bullish, and it is not overbought yet. Percentage of stocks giving buy setup from price extreme high is below 50%. It is not overbought. Allows buying, and looking at the large percentage of stocks giving flow setup, if you are fishing fish in the pond with maximum number of fish, it will help to find fish easily. Following that principle, if you are looking to buy, you may start with flow setups. 210 stocks have possible flow setups. It is probably easy to find 360 degrees buy candidates starting from there if you are doing bottom up analysis starting from QFinder. QFinder technical breadth weekly daily allows buying, does not allow shorting. Then the market level summary combining all that is quite obvious. Look for 360 degrees buy candidates, avoid shorting. That's the market level summary. Review of last week's trade ideas. In the last market recap, I shared only one buy idea, that was YELP, Y-E-L-P. It had a breakout setup on this day, last Friday, and I was aware of the trendline resistance in weekly. And it did stop right at the trend line resistance. Tried to go up but stopped there. Didn't go up much, didn't come down much. If you bought the stock, it neither hit the stop nor hit the target, so you would still be in the trade. Interestingly, on Friday, it has again given a flow. Last time it was a breakout setup last Friday, and it has given a flow trend following long setup. The trend line resistance in weekly is still there. If it breaks out, it has consolidated for more than 2 months now. If it breaks out, surely the buy setup of last Friday or the flow setup of this Friday would be a very profitable one. I have a long position in Yelp. I bought it this week, I think on Monday, I think, using precision entry chart. I am holding the position. That was the only trade setup in the last market recap. This week's theme: lucrative and reliable buying pattern. What is the pattern again? Price extreme low, jump thrust low, comes suddenly big move up 3, look for a buy setup. And I'm going to share some buy ideas I shared recently, review them, and those ideas had this exact same pattern. Let's look at those stocks. GT, this is a stock I shared on Twitter. Jump thrust low at price extreme low, suddenly comes big move up 3. I think I identified it as a buy setup somewhere here. It had a flow setup on this day. It has gone up little bit since then. I have a long position in the stock. I didn't book profit. I am holding on to the trade. This is using the lucrative pattern, and I did check the fundamental of the stock scorecard. Let's see if my Q dives cooperates. This technical pattern works beautifully, has worked beautifully so far for me, only when it has strong fundamentals. I have never tested it with weak fundamental stocks. I would not buy weak fundamental stocks anyway, with or without this pattern. So GT is undervalued. It has high earnings growth. Insiders are buying. It has a short squeeze potential. It is a profitable company. Earnings is positive. This is what I mean by strong fundamental stock. It had that lucrative buy pattern, lower price point. I have a long position in it. Let's look at some more buy candidates I shared. Again, all before results. PCRX. PCRX came to jump thrust low, price extreme low. Then suddenly somebody started buying the stock. That was not a buy setup day. You could wait for the next low risk buy setup day here or here. This day would be a trend following long setup day, and somewhere here there was a breakout setup. Let's look at the historical chart. This was a breakout long setup, and this is when I bought the stock. It has already gone up by more than 10%, and I have booked partial profit in the trade. Again, a lucrative stock I found using the pattern. I used Q Finder, of course, to look for that. Yet another stock that I shared before knowing the results that use the pattern is RPD. RPD, again I shared it on Twitter, came to jump thrust low, price extreme low, all of a sudden somebody stepped in, bought a lot of the stock, big move up 3, but that was not a buy day. I identified it somewhere here with a buy setup. Let's look at the historical chart. Yes, this was a breakout long setup day, and this was also a breakout long setup day. Yes, there were other trend line resistances nearby, but looking at the pattern and its fundamentals, I decided to buy. I don't remember I bought it here or here, one of those breakouts, and when price came here, it hit more than 10% profit again. I have booked partial profit in the trade. I am holding partial position just like the other stocks, PCRX. Let's check its fundamentals also, like we did for GT, PCRX. Immediately, we know it is a strong fundamental stock, undervalued stock with positive earnings growth, positive revenue growth, short squeeze potential, and very importantly, box stock. This idea was invented by Mr. Ian Woodward, may he rest in peace. Box stock is a special kind of high growth stock. Its growth in the immediate quarter may not be high, but still it has both long term and short term across several quarters high growth. So whenever I see this cell light up with any number 1 to 10, box stocks can be 1 to 10, I pay attention. Those are certain buy candidates without any doubt. And in this case, it was also undervalued. Profitable company, that was strong fundamental stocks. That was what I bought using the lucrative buy pattern. As you see, I am using the buy pattern, technical lucrative buy pattern, but only for strong fundamental stocks. And I don't share all the trades I take. I take many more trades than I tweet. Let me share one stock more that I traded using the same pattern. I didn't share it, I think. Jump thrust low. By the way, this stock is ARCO, ARCO. If I remember correctly, it is a McDonald's chain in South America, I think, across many countries. Not in North America, but they have many McDonald's. I think McDonald's, not KFC. Came to jump thrust low, price extreme low. Suddenly, somebody bought a lot, big move up 3. But what happened prior to that is equally interesting. It displayed a bullish headwind in weekly right at the bottom, displayed a bullish headwind, bullish headwind in daily right at the bottom, bullish headwind in weekly very close to the bottom. But the pattern came on this day, and in this case, the pattern coincided with a flow trend following long setup, and that is when I bought. Again, it shoot up. By the time it came here, it came to trend line resistance in both daily, weekly, and I booked profit. In this case, you see the signals are quite ambiguous. If I remember correctly, this was more than 15% profit for me. Here I booked full position, unlike the other two stocks, PCRX, RPD, where I'm holding partial position, but here I saw the trend line resistances in both the time frames, and I watched it on fine-tuned chart. It was starting to come down. Without second guessing, I closed full position. That was a good decision. Now if it starts to go up again, I hope it comes down to the yellow direction line and comes up from the yellow direction, goes up from yellow. That will be the next buy point for me. Here I have booked full position already. These are live examples of using this lucrative pattern in fundamentally strong stocks and coming out with a nice profit in a market that is not necessarily so bullish. It is bullish, but if you look at individual stocks, they are going up down. But these stocks with the lucrative buy pattern, I bought with confidence. Whenever I see the pattern and stocks are fundamentally strong, I don't hesitate. Usually, I always take a position unless my market view is very bearish. It was not so bearish when I bought these stocks. That paid me well, made a good profit in all of them. This week's trade ideas. Let's find at least one stock, and I mentioned about box stocks. Let's try to find box stocks and let me do a top-down analysis. I'll also try to look for flow setup because from Finder daily breadth chart we saw it would probably be easier to find 360 buy candidates. So let's do the analysis. Go to Q Edge, go to the strongest industries, go to industry score, single click, find all the industries that are either strongest here in score or most accelerating, either or. And let's drill down to the liquid stocks in those industries. I already created the liquid stock scorecard, so it's a bit slow, but I think it is going to find the liquid stocks only in those strongest or most accelerating industries. Give it a few seconds, please. Usually my computer is not so slow during this live webinar because many software are running, including streaming software. It is exceptionally slow, but it has found the stocks. As I was going to show you the box stocks this week, let's click the box smart filter button. See, with thousands of stocks, now we are left with 35 stocks. These are all box stocks, high growth over longer term as well as short term. Some of them are even value stocks, some are down. I don't want to look at the down stocks. Let's look at only the up stocks, left with 29. Let's look up possible technical setup in them. Look up from Q Finder, and which of them have technical setup? Only 7. Interestingly, we can see Yelp here. As I explained, I had shared this buy idea earlier. I'm holding a buy position. It's also a box stock, and as I showed earlier on the chart, it has given again a flow setup on Friday. But I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to look at the other stocks. Let's see which one of them have low risk buy setup. First one is ACMR. Let me go through them quickly one by one, eliminating the ones I don't want. ACMR looks interesting. I'll come back to it. Next is ANF. It also looks interesting. I'm keeping it. Next one, GoDaddy, GDDY, has a trendline resistance in daily. Not going to consider it now. Delete that. Next one is Shopify. Bullish, but it is too high in the price pattern. Not going to buy it, delete it. Next one, JD.com. too high in the price pattern, not going to buy. This is the result of the Chinese stimulus. SLM. This looks interesting. So I am left with only three stocks. What are these three stocks? They are all box stocks. They are in strong or accelerating industries. They all have the possible buy setup. Now last week's theme was ranking. Why don't I rank them? So I'm going to copy these three stocks and look at their fundamental scorecard side by side. That's a way to rank them. I got the ticker symbols. Let me convert the ticker symbols to definitive symbols using the tool. Symbol tool I am using here. It has found the ticker symbols, going to generate a scorecard. The aim is to see the scorecard side by side and rank them mentally. Which one, if we wanted to buy only one, and yes, I know they may be in different industries, but still let's look at the fundamental scorecard. That's a recap of last week's theme of ranking stocks. All are up, of course they would be up, they have buy setups. Now let's look at the scorecard. ACMR is the only stock that is undervalued is and also a box stock, and in fact it is the best box number one. The other two stocks ANF and SLM, they are not undervalued, not overvalued, medium valued. They are also box stock but not number one. So again, ranking wise, immediately I find ACMR to be the best one. Let's look at its one page scorecard. What is not to like? Everything green cyan, undervalued stock, some earnings growth, high revenue growth, profitable company, short squeeze potential, box one. Let us wait for Refinitiv to retrieve data about the peer stocks to see how the industry is in itself. Fantastic, isn't it? 91% of peer stocks went up on Friday. That's a stock I'd like to buy, but that's an industry I'd like to buy, but I would like to see its relative score also, industry's relative score from QH. Great. Most accelerating industry is rapidly improving, semiconductor, materials and equipment. Time to go back to the stock. ACMR. Interestingly, I didn't look for it. I looked for a box stock with good fundamentals and strong industry with a buy setup, but it happened that this stock is having the lucrative buy pattern, jump thrust low at price extreme low and then came big move up 3, but that candle did not have a buy setup. We could wait for the buy setup and buy somewhere here. There could be a breakout setup somewhere here, and then again, as I mentioned, once we find the lucrative pattern, we may track the stock. There may be successive lucrative buy points, not necessarily the first one. We could buy the, if I found it in the first case, of course I would have bought it, but I found it now. This is also a buying candidate. It has a huge gap up open, and the gap up move held beautifully, closed with a bullish shape, bullish color candle with a flow signal and a flow setup. Weekly allows buying. I did not buy the stock on Friday. I'll keep an eye on it, and if I get a low risk buy point using price extreme using precision entry template, I may buy it next week. If you carry out the 360 analysis using Q like that, I just looked at a few box stocks. There are many other lucrative fundamental stocks. If you carry out the analysis, you will most likely find other buying candidates. I would not like to short currently, except some consumer staple stocks that I tweeted about. You may look at the tweets. I have some short position in a few consumer staple stocks, and when consumer staples I'm shorting, when I shorted them, I was thinking that means market may be actually bullish, and in fact the market closed bullishly at the weekend. So I'm going to only look for buy candidates. There are probably many others you could find today. Let's end today's session here. Thanks a lot for joining. I look forward to seeing you in my next session. Have a great weekend. And as I always say, as these live examples I'm quite confident shows, there is no reason not to do that. Trade profitably. Thank you.